Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back, students. Today we are going to start lesson 2 of chapter 5, digestion. In our previous lesson, we discussed about the digestion and its parts. If we just make it a short summary about the digestive system, we learned that the system contains two parts. Part called alimentary canal, a part called alimentary canal, and a part called accessory glands or organs. The alimentary canal include the mouth, the stomach, the gullet, and the intestines, rectum, and anus. We also divided the alimentary canal as a muscular tube which runs from the mouth up to the anus. The accessory glands are three: the salivary glands, which secretes saliva; the pancreas, which secretes many enzymes like trypsin, lipase, and also substances include sodium hydrogen carbonate, and also the liver, which produces and secretes the bile. The digestive system goes through 5 processes, starting from ingestion, which is taking in food into the mouth, then digestion, breaking down food into smaller ones, then absorption, taking food from the small intestine to the rest of the body by the blood system so that the body can utilize it; assimilation, a process whereby the body uses the food or digested food; and finally digestion, which is the process of removing the indigestible part of the food from the body. So in that case, we can say the digestive system has two functions: digesting food and absorbing it, and also removing wastes produced during digestion from the body. So this table I'm going to show you I will remind you the different parts of the digestive system. So today we're going to talk about the process of digestion. The process of digestion starts from the mouth. So here, previously we divided the digestion into two: mechanical digestion, which is the crushing or grinding of food by using teeth, and chemical digestion, which is the breaking down of food by using chemicals called enzymes. So both types of digestion can take place in the mouth. Food is cut and torn by the incisors and canines, while the premolaries and molaries crush it into small molecules. So here we have the 4 types of teeth we have. Incisors, the flat ones; canines, the sharp ones, or in Somali mi'io. Premolaries and molaries are the flat ones, or gusa. In the mouth, food is moisturized by saliva produced by the 3 pairs of salivary glands. So if you just make it a summary, in the mouth, only two functions take place. Number one, mixing food with saliva, mixing food with saliva, mixing food with saliva. The saliva is produced by the salivary glands. So this saliva contains three things. It contains, number one, an enzyme called ptyalin or amylase, which breaks down starch, or which starts the digestion of carbohydrates. Number two, it contains water, which softens the food. It softens what? The food, so that we can chew it easier. Number three, it contains mucus. It contains mucus, which aids swallowing. It helps swallowing, which means it reduces the friction of food between the food and the gullet. So if you are asked, the functions of the saliva, you can just write either one or two or three of these functions. Here you have, for example, one of the functions of the saliva is to digest starch because it contains ptyalin or amylase. It softens the food because it contains water. It aids or helps swallowing because it contains what? Mucus. So these can be the functions of the mouth, but generally this is the first process which takes place in the mouth. Second, B, chewing food. This is done by the teeth. And the tongue. So the teeth cuts stones or tears or grinds the food. It makes or converts large food molecules into smaller ones. But the role of the tongue is to roll the food. It rolls what? The food, helping that each part of the food is being broken down. So generally, the importance of digestion, the importance of the digestion in the mouth is to increase the surface area of the food, so that the enzymes in the stomach can digest it more easily. And finally, the solid food in the mouth is converted into bolus. It's still a little bit solid, but it is something which is which can be swallowed and then be broken down further. Okay. Here you have the esophagus or the gullet. The gullet, there is no digestion that takes place in the gullet. The gullet is made up of muscles. So the function of the gullet is to carry food from the mouth to the stomach. It carries food from the mouth to the stomach. It makes contractions and relaxations so that move the food into the stomach. The process by which the esophagus carries food from the mouth to the stomach is called peristalsis. It takes 15 seconds depending on the type of food. Peristalsis enables you to swallow food even when you are standing on your head. No one can stand on the head while he or she is eating, but we are just emphasizing that the contractions and relaxations of the these muscles are not affected by the position of the body. You can swallow it while you are sleeping, while you are sitting, while you are standing, and so on. But the better way to eat food is shown by the Islamic culture. When the food is converted into bolus and taken from the mouth to the stomach, the digestion of the stomach starts from that place. In the stomach, what gastric juices are produced. Gastric juices are produced. So the gastric juice contains a substance called hydrochloric acid and an enzyme called pepsin. So the function of the hydrochloric acid is, for example, to kill the bacteria. It kills the bacteria that may be present in the food. It also gives a suitable environment to the enzyme pepsin, which needs a pH of 2. So it helps the enzyme pepsin to work properly in the stomach. On the other hand, this is why the amylase in the mouth stops working when it reaches in the stomach, because in the saliva the pH is almost neutral. I think it's 8 or 7. So that enzyme cannot work in an acidic environment. So if you are asking why the activity or the action of the enzyme amylase stops when it reaches in the stomach, the answer will be because the stomach is an acidic environment, so that that enzyme cannot work in the acidic environment. It will be denatured by the acid. In the stomach, the first thing that takes place in the stomach is to add gastric juices to the food, so that it is, chemically the food will be chemically broken down. The enzyme pepsin is the enzyme which begins the digestion of proteins in the stomach. So again, you need to just starting from the mouth, you need to know where the digestion of the food starts from and where it ends. So digestion of protein starts from the stomach, and it will continue up to the small intestine. Pepsin begins the digestion of proteins. Gastric juices also contain hydrochloric acids, which kill the bacteria that are present in the food. But again, I told you that the importance of hydrochloric acid is to give a suitable environment for the enzyme pepsin, so that the enzyme pepsin can still work, properly in the stomach. The duodenum. The duodenum is the first part of the small intestine. Duodenum. First part of the small intestine. It's usually the first 30 centimeter of the small intestine. Digestion of protein is fats and starch, which have not been digested in the mouth and stomach, take place in the duodenum. While the food reaches in the duodenum, there are a number of substances produced by the pancreas and the liver, which helps the digestion of food in the duodenum. For example, bile. Bile is a liquid made in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. Bile is a greenish yellow liquid. Bile does not contain enzymes, instead it contains salts. That means, what I'm saying, it does not contain enzymes, I mean it does not take part the digestion of the food by breaking down food, but it helps the digestion in some other way. It breaks down fats into tiny droplets, which means it's like, if this is a fat, it turns the fat into small molecules in the water. Emulsion is, for example, if you add some water and oil, we know that the oil is less denser than the water, so they cannot dissolve. So, but if you just shake it well, you will see a small droplets of oil within the water molecule. This is called an emulsion. So when this kind of reaction happens or emulsification happens, it will be very easier, very simpler for the lipase to break down the fats into their smaller subunits like fat acids and glycerol. So it is the lipase, the enzyme that breaks down fats to their smallest, subunits. But simply the pile helps the lipase to break down the food. It doesn't break the fats into their similar molecules. It's the fat. It's the lipase. The pancreas also releases, substances which, a liquid which contains two, what's called a pancreatic juice. So pancreatic juice contains enzymes like amylase, like lipase, like trypsin, and also substances like sodium hydrogen carbonate. So this substance is very important. In the small intestine or the duodenum, these enzymes like amylase, lipase, and trypsin needs a very neutral or environment. Their pH is 8. They need pH of what? pH of 8. But we know that the food in the small duodenum comes from the stomach. It contains hydrochloric acid. So this hydrochloric acid can denature these enzymes or can destroy these enzymes. So the first thing which is added to the food as soon as it reaches into the duodenum is sodium hydrogen carbonate to neutralize that acid. So these enzymes can then work properly. Yet more enzymes are added to the food from the small intestine, which their action brings about the end of the digestion. So if you just make it a summary, we said digestion starts from the mouth. In the mouth, starch is being broken down, or the digestion of starts from the mouth. Then the food is converted into bolus, and bolus reaches the stomach. The stomach adds enzymes and substances. So the substances include hydrochloric acid, which kills the bacteria that may be present in the food. It also helps the enzyme pepsin to get a suitable environment so that it can work more properly. And also the continual mixing of food within the walls of the stomach can cause to convert the bolus into a creamy liquid, which is called chyme. The chyme is then transported to the duodenum, where it's added in several enzymes and substances. The first substance which is added to the chyme is sodium hydrogen carbonate to neutralize the acid from the stomach, and also it's added these enzymes to break down amylase, for example, and starch to maltose, lipase fats to glycerol and fat acids, trypsin proteins into peptides. And finally, more enzymes are added to the food in the small intestine, which their action brings about the end of digestion. So finally, here is the large intestine. There is no digestion which takes place in the large intestine. Some minerals, water, and undigested food enter the last part of the digestive tract, which is called the large intestine. But you need to keep in mind there is no digestion which takes place in the large intestine. Simply, the important things that takes place in the large intestine is absorption of water and some minerals and also vitamins that from the large intestine. And also in the large intestine, all undigestible food is collected there, forming a solid material which is called feces. or saxaradii. It stays in the body until it's eliminated through the anus. The last part of the large intestine is called a rectum, which controls the elimination of what? Feces. So that's all about the digestion. So inshallah, when you finish our complete this video, you'll be answering these three questions. So I hope you good luck. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.